full of muscle can't stop me. Hey,
One.
come on.
Fight.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Swindler Podcast. It was a tiny hiatus, not a planned hiatus. Hangman and I simply didn't show up in each other's DMs for an entire week because we needed to process exactly what was going on. Hangman, how you going, buddy?
I'm good. Welcome everybody to the Emergency Podcast.
The Emergency Podcast.
Yep, this is our previously our vehicle to get Majin Obama on the show, but we're experiencing turbulence on this flight
You know,
at present.
actually, I hadn't even. I don't know if anyone here knows who Majin Obama is. If you don't, then go away. He did a video the other day where he went and did like some meditation retreat in Japanese nature out in some waterfall. He was doing like breathing exercises and shit.
Yeah. He was being baptized by the monk and stuff. It's pretty cool.
How ahead of the meta is that guy? Like
He's already done with Tekken.
he foresaw fighting games. He knew where we were. He knew where we were at. He was like, yeah, fuck that. I'm going to go and breathe in nature. I'm going to
I
become
think
one.
he's still on his tour. I don't think he's done yet.
I don't think he is. He's posting
Yeah.
videos about it. He's streaming about it.
He's still going.
Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, season 2 has been curious to say the least. So before we get too deep in the weeds on season 2, because we're going to have plenty to talk about, I thought we'd start things off on a relatively positive note. And let's take a look at some of the events that are coming up. For those of you who are curious, let's see if this is actually going to work for me today. Maybe not. Well, I'll just talk about it. Up first, we've got. Do you want to talk about this first one, Nations Cup?
Nations Cup, yes, it's in Abu Dhabi. It's actually tomorrow.
Mhm.
It's April 18 to 20. So I'm not really sure what the format is because I thought this was only open for Saudi citizens, but I guess not because obviously the Korean players Neem, Mulgold, and Lohai are going, and I assume they will be competing in the tournament. So quite interested to see them play, especially a day after the patch. I was almost hoping
Real.
they would play in the previous patch just to see how it is. Oh, this is not the one in Saudi, says UAE. Fair enough.
Oh,
My
that
bad,
makes
my
more
bad.
sense. No, there we go. Yeah, Abu Dhabi, live
I
at
must have been
Adnac.
thinking of a different tournament. Yeah, is it a different tournament that's like open to Saudi players only?
I'm not
quite
actually too sure. If anyone in the chat knows, please let us know. Yagami said there's Korea, Pakistan, EU, and Middle East all in attendance.
Wow.
So this is going to be
Well, it'll
huge.
be very exciting. They literally have less than 48 hours to adapt their game plan, their everything muscle memory. There's like a
Mhm.
few big changes here.
Yeah.
So
This
it'll be
is
very
the
fun to
this is a
know.
litmus test for the future, dude. I've got
Yeah.
a little conspiracy theory about the way that the future patches may go if the devs operate in good faith. But seeing how players can adapt just days before some kind of world-changing patch, this is going to be very interesting. I think it's going to say a lot about the kind of players that are going to succeed in Tekken 8 on the whole. What are you most excited to see?
Well, I'm excited to see some silver and gold paints
Mhm.
in the venue because there'll be a lot of paint sniffers. But if you want to get high the fastest and the most effective, you get gold and silver paints. So that's what I'm excited to see.
Real as hell. We've got Zerzok the goat in the chat, who's actually listed off a few of the players who are going to be sniffing.
Thank you. By the way, shout outs to Serzok.
Yes.
I don't know. A lot of you guys probably don't know who this guy is, but he is pretty much Liquidpedia for Tekken.
Yeah.
He updates everything, and he keeps track of all the events when they're gonna happen. He keeps everyone in the Tekken Zabatsu server up to date with upcoming events and what's going on and so on and so forth. And he doesn't even play a lot most of the time. He just does it because he loves to do it. I actually don't know why he do it, Serzok, but thank you so much for all you've
Definitely
done
right
over
now,
the
I don't know why he does it. But no, honest to God, Zerzok is a gift. Much like characters like Pun Life or Six Wheatbix putting together the Waivu Wiki. people like Zozok really keep the competitive spirit alive for lay people. If you've ever been in Tekken Zaibatsu, you've probably been pinged by him a million times telling you, hey, this tournament's coming up. This tournament's coming up. He's scheduling everything in. You know exactly how many hours away the next event is. And he's been doing it for ages. And I would not have been as deeply ingrained in tournament culture as I am now if it weren't for his contribution. So definitely big shout out to you, brother. UAE is also your region, isn't it? So that's pretty exciting. And he has noted some of the players that'll be in attendance. So for Korea, Lohai, Ni, Mulgold. Pakistan, we've got Arslan Ash, question mark, and question mark, two of my favorite Pakistani players. Europe, I'm super excited for the European representation because we've got Strog, Tetsu, and Donbilly Mayman. Strog, one of my top 3 players on the planet, just of all time. Donbilly Mayman, the only player on planet Earth who could make me think that Marduk is cool enough to potentially pick up. One of the most enjoyable players in Tekken 7 to watch, and he's been doing crazy shit with Feng in Tekken 8. And Tetsu, probably one of the most well-known players in Europe, really exploded onto the scene in Tekken 7. Makes everybody look like they don't know how to play the game, predominantly playing characters like Claudio, really just rinsing his cracked German fundamentals. And then the Middle East, we've got Renzoken, Rife, and JJ. I'm not too sure who Renzoken and JJ are. Do you have any lore about those players?
I don't actually.
No, that's fair.
They've been out of my eyes for a while. Actually, the Saudi Arabian players. But from what I understand from people traveling all around the world, Saudi Arabian players, I think, are quite good. Quite good players. They're like Russia a little bit,
Yeah.
where the average skill player is quite high. That's at least what everyone is saying.
Yeah.
So don't sleep on those guys. We just don't see them.
This was also the case during the reign of Khadans. I think the 2 regions that stood out aside from Pakistan's explosion onto the scene was Saudi Arabia and then South America. I know South America is me bundling together a bunch of different countries, but these were regions where the best players on the planet would go to a major in that region and get their ass beat. There were stories of Khadans getting completely steamrolled in the first to 10 versus Sergey Master when he went to South America during the Tekken 7 life cycle while he was at his peak. We've got incredible stories of players like Federer, Rife, who's already been mentioned, putting up serious numbers. MD Luffy as well in Saudi Arabia, putting up crazy numbers against internationals.
For sure, Exodia as well.
Yeah.
Piggybacking off this, next week, 25th is Riad Clash number 2. That's the first. That's the first EWC qualifying event. One person would qualify for EWC from Riad Clash. So that'll be quite exciting. I wonder if all these Koreans are just gonna stay here for a week and then attend.
I hope so.
Riyadh.
I hope so.
That might be the plan. Yeah. So that'll be another interesting tournament the week after. And then when's Evo Japan?
Evo Japan. Here we go. May 9th. May 9th. Be there or be square. There's been a little bit of controversy surrounding this.
I'll happily be square this year.
Yeah. If we go to attendees, I wonder if it'll let me see it. It's not going to let me see it. But essentially, Street Fighter 6's numbers are as crazy as usual.
Well, this is their national sport. This is their national
sport. Street Fighter 6 and baseball. Tekken 8, substantially lower numbers. And when Tekken 8 first burst onto the scene, it was hitting numbers almost as high as Street Fighter 6. And Street Fighter 6 is obviously the fighting game. Like, it just is. There's no contest. This year, however, it is a substantial drop-off, which is very unfortunate because it's going to be a very, very exciting event. Even if you're jaded by all of the changes, I still think that watching top-level Tekken is a thing of beauty, and I'm curious to see how it ends up going. I'm hoping we're not going to have another Leroy 7 situation. I'm doubtful we will, because everyone's cracked. I think we might get some cool upsets. I think that's the biggest exciting thing about all of this. For any of you out there who love gambling and are bad at it, now is the best time to get into Sportsbet, our sponsor for this. No, I'm kidding. But do definitely pay attention to Evo Japan. Do you know any of the attendants who are coming for Evo Japan, aside from Japan, obviously?
I have no idea. I haven't been following. I assume a lot
Okay.
of them would be going to Evo Japan. It's still one of the biggest tournaments of the year,
Mm-hmm.
and it's quite exciting because it's always the first event of the tour, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and of course, it's in Japan as well. A lot of people come to Evo Japan for also a holiday, and Tekken's just a part of it for them, you know.
Yeah.
And everyone generally has a good time in Japan traveling.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure there will be a lot of people in Evo Japan, especially because it's also a an EWC qualifying event.
Mm-hmm.
I think 4 players gets to qualify from Evo Japan.
Yeah.
So it's big stakes here. If your name is like I don't know, I don't know, like what's a common name like Mashimoto, like you're a middle schooler who plays like Asuka in Japan, and your family's been in like lower middle class for like the last 12th generation. This is your chance, kid,
This is
to
your chance.
yeah, this is how you escape the rice fields.
And I've
Time to
just
make a difference.
I've just quickly put Riad Clash on screen because Yagami asked who's in Riad Clash. I've only got the Wikipedia page at the moment, and we've got 4 participants, which is awesome. Tekken Master, Daniel Mato, Kira, Newman, CH. Uh, I like all of those players, so I think
For
it's
all
gonna
of
be fun.
the for the Pakistani players, from my understanding from the backends,
Hmm.
they're trying a lot harder to travel this year,
Hmm.
especially because EWC is in the circuit. They're trying to get to Japan. They're also trying to get to Melbourne,
Yes.
but I think it's not gonna be as exciting as it could be because from the back end, the fight for the visa and the passport is continually becoming a problem.
Mm.
um, Already it's continually a problem for all those guys. So unfortunately, this year as well, my expectation is that we won't start seeing Pakistani players all over the tour, even though they managed to make Pakistan versus Korea a thing this year.
Yeah, yeah, it's very unfortunate. I did see I forget his name. I don't know if it's Kuriten or another Japanese member of the fighting game community. There's this guy, if anyone remembers his name, please let me know. Absolute legend of the scene, writes these crazy long, eloquent English essays about the state of fighting games and also about how to do fighting game competition. And he has been a massive proponent of getting Pakistani players international visas. Um, I I think dozens of Pakistani players have gone directly through him. He's incredibly polite, incredibly kind, really massive deal in the social fighting game community scene, especially for Tekken. Um, Chai, I saw that guy on Twitter the other day. He's an absolute legend. If anyone knows his name,
I,
please let
I
me know.
think I think Chai is also going to Evo Japan, I believe.
Oh, true. You wanted a
I
notable
believe he is.
name. We've got Chai in the
Yeah,
chat.
yeah. There
Australian
you go,
hero.
Chai,
Hope you're doing well.
Australian Call of Duty streamer,
Oh,
kickboxing, Muay Thai enthusiast.
and a Call of Duty crackhead. We've
Mm.
actually got Zerzok again being an absolute legend. Just regarding Riad Clash, notable players: Kira, Newman, Akil, Devil Boo, Daniel Mato, Rife, Asan Ali, woo, Casimir, Tekken Master, Tora, J Payne, Radar, who I think won the previous one, if I'm not mistaken. Mostin Shooter, absolute gun. Federer, Hisham Williams, Ilias, Farzine, Yoj99, Yoreds, Sajawal, and Yagami. Woo! Okay, there's some names. There's some heavy hitters. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
All right, good.
Definitely
So
tune
that's
in.
those are the events upcoming essentially, and a lot of them are EWC qualifying events as well. Of course, BAM later in May after Combo Breaker will also be an EWC qualifying event. We get 4 spots this year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they'll be quite exciting. We already have a bunch of internationals signing up for BAM. So for all of you that wants to see pro players and play pro players in casuals, this is actually what BAM is there for. You sit there, you watch your friends try your best to beat the internationals, and then they lose, but you give them like a rub in the back anyway.
Yeah.
Wait, that sounds so wrong. And then you play against the pros and lose against the pros, and then you just have a good time with friends out of state. That's what BAM is all about. So
And
hopefully a lot of you
being
will show up.
being Australia's major as well, for anyone here who is potentially burnt out on Tekken 8, this is going to be a perfect time to try another fighting game in a competitive environment and in a casual environment. Offlines are always the way to go. I, for one, am personally going to be tinkering with some of the other games. I want to try out Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves. If any Ronaldo fans are in the chat, let me know if that game's good. They've got Marvel vs. Capcom 3, so not all is lost. Maybe the game for you is out there.
Yeah.
But today we're talking about the game
Yeah.
for
Should we
us.
start?
I think we begin. I think we begin.
All right. 20 minutes in, and we're about to start talking about it. Let's go.
Hangman.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this new patch? I've just chucked it up on
Okay.
the screen.
All right, put it up. Here we go. So we are now officially in 2.00.02. This is the emergency patch following up the balance patch from last week. I'm sure everybody in this chat knows what the hell's going on because Tekken has become a sensation. The news was so pronounced, or whatever it is called, I don't even know, English art, that people outside of the Tekken sphere knew what's going on. You know, Brown Man, he has random people talking to him at his actual day job, asking him randomly, "Hey, how about the Tekken patch? What have happened to the Tekken patch?" These are people that don't even play the game. You know, so everybody knows what's going on. We're currently at Tekken, overwhelmingly negative 8%. That's the current name of the game.
Yep.
On the Steam reviews.
Overwhelmingly negative.
And you know, I'm sure they're all panicking about this in management. So this patch, I think based on the statement they've provided, right? All three developers, Harada, Mari, and Nakatsu, actually apologize to
Yep.
the fans on Twitter. I've never seen them do this. I have never seen them do this.
The
Not even for
apology is
Leroy.
actually
Not for
in
Fakumram.
the update as well.
I have never seen them apologize.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to be alive just to see that, to be honest, because I didn't think I'd see the day.
Yeah.
The patch says they're sorry for sort of misleading players to think about making them think that the patch is going to be a certain way, and then what comes out is a certain thing, and then they apologize as well for the disconnect of what players want and what actually came out, right? You know, these are quite subjective ideas, but essentially, you know, I think generally people are not happy with the patch. We're going to get to the details, but at the very top level highlights, these are some really good changes in the patch. There are some really, really good changes in the patch. And it is a step in the right direction. And I also like the attitude that they have surrounding it.
Yeah.
And it is 300% more effort and more positive changes than what I thought they could produce in 2 weeks.
Yep.
It's not bad. Just in time for the first EWC event, right?
Mhm.
And they're already promising that this is the first in a long line of changes. Even in the notes itself, they keep saying, by the way, because we changed this, we're going to look at this later. You know, there's a lot of those kinds of notes in the patch itself. So those are good signs. But this is what it's like for me. Tekken 8 Season 1, by the end of the season, was a game that I find slightly annoying, but I can continue to play the game. When Season 2 happened, that game became very, 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 very annoying.
Yes.
And now the game is very, very, very annoying. So there's still a long way to go for me. And there's a lot of problems that are still in the game. I'm not personally letting them off the hook yet. And I'm still actually not enticed to play again, actually.
Yep.
What about you?
Yep. I agree with pretty much everything you've said, aside from being enticed to play because I am addicted. And I have.
Yeah, we'll talk about that after this.
I am desperately in need of a rehab. It's the long weekend here in Australia. To anyone who celebrates it, have a wonderful Easter weekend. I hope you're all planning to do things more productive than hit ranked. But if you are down to slum it with us in the dirt like a dog, I'll see you at Bushin, motherfucker. Regarding this update, and I guess season 2, we did do a podcast episode and then we took a break. There's been a little bit of time to actually feel out season 2 a bit more. I've definitely put more hours into it than you have, Hangman. It was shockers. Absolutely shockers. Anyone in the chat who was unlucky enough to...
Actually, for the people in the chat that have played the patch a little bit in ranked or otherwise, I want to see, give me like a 3-sentence summary about your experience playing the Tekken version that we had for the last 2 weeks.
Tell us.
Poultry rambles about it. Yeah, Poultry rambles about his experience.
We're not allowed to get onto the good yet. We need a
what's your experience, Poultry? What's your experience, and why do you keep playing every night?
So, okay. There's this idea that people talk about where a character gets introduced to a game, like Rum or Leroy back in Tekken 7. For a Tekken 8 example, it might be like a pre-patch or earlier season 1 Dragonov, and your goal as someone who hopes to get good at the game is to fight them while they're good, so that when they're bad, you really feel it. I've never really been able to give my all to this philosophy because I don't quite play enough that it matters. So I'll still forget all the shit that I labbed. But I was kind of looking at season 2, and it was so gung ho, so over the top, so fucking akimbo MP7s that I was like, all right, let's just see. Let's subject ourselves. I'm privileged. I have a full-time job. I'm making decent cash. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna play the game. I'm gonna see what happens. And it was just day after day of having my everything slammed into the fucking dirt. Uh, I think the biggest offenders for me, Jack was definitely offender numero uno. I didn't run into any Paul players who are seriously abusing the Paul bug. For those who don't know, Paul's got a plus frames move. It's a mid, it's reasonably fast, and he could cancel it into a crouch dash fast enough that he was still plus enough to hit you with a guaranteed hit. So if the Paul player was good enough, they could do plus frames move on block into while standing 3-2. I believe that's the input. And wall splat you or knock you down. And it was free. So you could just do that over and over. You could do it into wall standing 4 if you wanted to keep you standing. Which was crazy. Absolutely crazy. Jin, major offender. Plus frames, plus frames, plus frames. Half of his plus frame situations was so plus there's no recourse. As in, if he does anything that's not another loop of the plus frames move, your power crush is going to lose. Your parry's probably going to lose. Definitely not fun. I might actually bring up a knee montage and put it on in the background shortly, just so you guys can see the absolute terror that was this patch. The main reason I kept coming back to it, and this is something that every coper on the planet has to concede to, is the fact that even in this state, this absolutely cooked Guilty Gear Strive state, there isn't another game like Tekken. I don't have another game like Tekken. I've been playing Elden Ring. I've been enjoying that. No matter how much I abuse the Reduvia as a complete scrub making his way through the game, it's not Tekken, man. Street Fighter is not Tekken. Virtua Fighter is not Tekken, and that's the crux of it.
Yeah,
So
Tekken's one of a kind.
it's
Tekken
one
is
of a
one of a
kind.
kind.
And I booted up earlier today. Unveil, very kind of you. Today is my birthday. Thank you all. On my birthday, I come home from a really, really hard day at work. And I booted up Tekken before stream, and I played for like 45 minutes, and I was just molding the entire time. It's like, dude, this game's rough. Stop saying happy birthday when I'm letting you all know how addicted I am to this absolute mess of a game.
I've never seen you more frustrated on stream.
Oh, dude, it's
and
actually rough.
and I've never seen so many people frustrated playing the game. As I think as the kids call it in quotes, crashing out.
Oh, dude, I've been
Um,
crashing out
a lot,
hard, dude.
yeah. So that's the things that affected you, and the patch, it speaks volumes. A lot of people and communities are affected. So let's start with Australia, right?
Yes.
Yagami, you made a tweet
Mhm. Let me
about
see if I can bring it up.
the about what is it Trouble in Paradise not having the numbers that it usually does. This is the first local. The picture on the right is the first local after the patch has been released, and the numbers got cut pretty severely. Pixel Bar as well experienced the same thing. I think Game Freak told me that WA, or he was in the chat somewhere. He also said the numbers in WA was not really great for Tekken 8. So this thing is affecting locals in Australia, and I've spoken to other people outside of Australia. It's affecting their locals as well.
Mhm.
People don't want to play this game. People stop showing up almost immediately.
Yep.
And I can feel it. I only played the game the last 2 weeks, once a day for about 30 minutes, and I only do dailies. I finish my 4 games every day, and that's it. I'm done. I don't even think about what I'm doing. I don't try to adapt. I don't lab anything, right?
Yeah.
Even just for doing dailies, I'm not in rank, yeah?
Yep.
I'm just doing dailies in quick play, and I can't even find games fast anymore.
Yeah.
And people say ranked is the same. Yagami, you had a stream where you couldn't even get a game for like an hour, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of people have said the same thing. It's harder and harder to find games in rank. Mega Clinton told me he like was having a hard time finding quality gameplay because a lot of the top players, the pro players, don't want to play. Fergus,
Yep.
Fergus and a few other pro players as well. They Joka, I think, right? They've contemplated just quitting the game if it continues to be in that state.
Yeah.
For like 6 months to a year, they just will stop playing. I have stopped playing like I used to, So that's what it was. That's what we've seen the community go through in the last 2 weeks. The actual effects that it has. Beyond just like complaining that the game isn't good. These are the actual. Um, they actually dropped a bomb on the community.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. We were actually damaged. Uh, and, and and people love the game. I love the game, right? And that's what's also like behind all the saltiness and all the despair on Twitter. It's because people love the game, and they know like there's no other thing about Tekken. I just want to make a quick comment to the people saying like, see, that's what you get for not learning other fighting games. If you had like put eggs in like other baskets, you wouldn't be in this position. How about I burn down your house and see, and let me tell you, why didn't you have more than one house?
Yeah.
I like Tekken, man. I just want to play this game.
Yeah.
I don't want to play any other game. That's why I only play Tekken.
It's real. I mean, this was I had for those who don't know, HQ Rubbish, or I believe they're just Rubbish now. Incredible fighting game essayist or video games essayist on YouTube in general. Was in the stream the other day, and they were talking about how their biggest gripe with this patch is the fact that it's like 1,500 lines of changes. It's not necessarily any one change. It's just such a large change in general on such a large scale that it feels bad, right? And I kind of pushed back against that at first, but just hearing you speak there, one of the things that made Leroy bearable when Leroy came out, or Fuck'em Rum bearable when Fuck'em Rum came out, or even characters like Dragonov and Nina and Yoshimitsu being overtuned, is the fact that you've still got 30, 40, 50 other characters that you can go and hop into a first 10 with your best mate and have a blast fighting. Me, being a sole Steve player in Tekken 8, pretty much, I think I'm probably shielded from that perspective a little bit more, and I hadn't really considered it. Everybody's been touched in pretty much the same way. So you go into these first 10s versus characters who are more honest on the tier list, but they're still running you down with the same mix-ups. They're still doing pop heat, plus 17, plus frames move on block, into plus frames move on block, into guess wrong, into get launched, into get wall, into guess wrong, into next round. You can't escape it. There's no way to escape it unless you impose rules on yourself or you download the new classic Tekken mod that's been going around on Twitter. I should have. I might find that. That's going to be something to talk about. And look, like, let me read the tweet that Yagami put here for anyone who's listening. Locals in Australia are dying. It's a struggle to even find people to play online because everyone is quitting or playing T7. Please fix Tekken 8 quickly. There were a few people in the responses who are trying to push back against this, saying how the Steam numbers are better. The problem with Steam numbers as a metric versus looking at a competitive scene and looking at an offline scene, Steam numbers aren't going to tell you the dedication of that number of players. And it's not going to tell you the social links that those players have. All it's going to tell you is more people are logging in right now. And those people that are logging in are probably people who aren't that connected to the scene. People who don't grind it. People who aren't trying to hit the top ranks. Or people who aren't hinging their enjoyment of the game on other factors like the social aspect, like the learning as a community. Looking at these photos, this before and after of this Australian local, it's like, yeah, if you go to that local and everybody at the local that week goes, man, this patch is bum. And all
I
you're
want to
seeing
add
in
one more on
Discord
the.
is this patch is
Uh,
bum. It leads to this.
I want to add one more on the Steam metrics.
Mhm.
So Steam metrics is mainly one metric, which is a highest or current concurrent number every day, right? I'm assuming this is the chart that you're referencing to.
Yes.
And then you can see before and after. It's about kind of the same. Of course, the patch happened, and then it increased really high because the patch was out. And then the last 2 weeks, the numbers have stabilized to about similar numbers to what it was before the patch,
Mhm.
right? So someone can look at it and say, oh, after the patch happened, the same number of people continue to play the game. But the Steam metrics is only one metric, and it's only concurrent players. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about the Steam
the
DB
actual
chart.
activity.
Yeah, the Steam DB chart. The metric that it does not show and cannot show is the number of time played in the game.
Yes.
So you could be logging in now, but then you log off. It'll be counted as that you logged on at this particular hour, and then X number of people logged in at the same time with you. So logging in is definitely an important metric. It shows how many people are playing at the same time. It is an important metric, but it doesn't tell the full story because it doesn't show how long do people continue to play the game. Were there any changes before, after? And I don't know as well. Possibly it could be more.
Mhm.
I doubt it from my anecdotal experiences and what people tell me. Like this, yeah. This is only one metric, right? This only shows you how many players are right now and what their peak is at any hour of the day.
Mhm.
It doesn't show you how many different types of players play within a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
That it doesn't show you that as well. So when you look, whenever I look at these Steam charts, you always have to think about these things. It doesn't tell the full story.
Yeah, for real. And it's unfortunate. Because some players might, and you know what? It's fine if you do. If you look at the burst of players coming in from the Steam charts and that incentivizes you to play and you enjoy the game, fantastic. Keep at it, because it looks like we're potentially going in a good direction. But even I don't know if you guys can see this right now. We've got the full graph at the bottom of this metric here. If I go max, actually, maybe that'll show it. Yeah, we got this little peak in March 31st. 16,000 players peaked, and then we're slowly going down. It looks like we're going lower than we have gone before.
Now we have, yeah. Look, it looks like that those are updated. It looks like we're trending downwards now.
Which
There you go.
hopefully that puts into perspective kind of where we're at the moment, which is frustrating. But on the bright side, maybe now this is a good time to transition into the new.
Yeah, let's talk about the changes. Which one do you want to talk about first? You pick. I pick. Oh, they say your mic is quite. Oh, am I live? I think Poultry has disappeared. Can you guys still hear me?
Hello. Sorry, when you clapped, it disconnected my microphone.
I can hear myself.
Poultry, you are quiet as hell. I'm upping the volume. Let me know if this sounds better. Let me know if it's too loud. Hangman, unfortunately, hitting me with Jax makes some noise.
You know what's cooked, Poultry? Poultry, I can hear you on the stream.
Oh,
but I
no.
can't hear you on the Discord VC.
Oh no!
I'll leave and I'll come back maybe. Or
No,
maybe
no,
you
no.
leave and come back.
No.
1 second.
Hello.
Say something?
I'm sorry, chat.
No,
Give
I
me
can't
a
hear you.
moment.
I can only
Hello?
hear you through the stream.
Can you hear me? Oh no! Hangman Jack clapped my microphone into oblivion. Are we back?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
This is so crazy.
Literally got so damned. Midane in the chat actually mentioned something earlier, which we're gonna bring up. Do not worry. Talking about Edge.
you got Jack 211 plus 2.
Literally got make some noise out of existence. It actually happened earlier, and you were talking for so long that I fixed the issue before you stopped talking. So it was awesome.
That's actually amazing.
Midane pointed out something about the change with the plus frames after a heat engager, and we are going to touch on what Edge was talking about on Twitter. But first things first, the actual changes in the patch. So, Hangman mentioned earlier that the developers all individually apologized. They've even apologized here in the chat. I'm just going to read the start of this patch real quick. So this is Tekken 8 version 2.00.02 patch notes. Changes. Regarding the battle balance adjustment policy in version 2.00.02, the development team acknowledges that following the Season 2 version 2.00 update, the overall game balance has shifted too heavily towards offense. We sincerely apologize that the actual balance changes did not align with the development intentions and policy previously communicated to players. We deeply regret not being able to address the improvements and adjustments that the community had hoped for. So moving forward, we are committed to distinguishing between 1, issues that can be addressed quickly, and 2, issues that require more time and community feedback for proper review. The emergency patch, scheduled for release on Wednesday, April 16th, We'll address high priority bugs under point 1. Alongside these fixes, we will also implement battle balance adjustments based on the following policy directions. 1. Increase the maximum health value to help mitigate situations where matches are decided through overly one-sided momentum. In light of the current damage environment trending towards inflation driven by offense-heavy game balance and increased aerial combo damage, the maximum health value will be increased. This adjustment is intended to ease situations where matches are too easily decided by one-sided momentum. I'm going to pause right there. Bams, I love you. Do not embarrass me in my podcast. Um, Hangman, increased maximum health value. And I was hoping you wouldn't show up for this, Bams, because Bams made me look like a fool the other day when I said that this isn't going to be a problem at all. And then he mentioned something which I'll talk about in a second. But what do you think about the increased maximum health, just in isolation?
Yep. So maximum health has been increased by 20 health to 200. When we both started this game, Poultry, I believe maximum health was 170, and then they increased Tekken 7, and then they increased it to 175 at some point in Tekken 7, and then 180 when Tekken 8 came out, and now it's 200. So it's the biggest increase. It's the biggest increase that I've seen so far. 20 value, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's actually a lot of Twitter debates about this. Even when it was mentioned, the reception has been a little bit negative, which I can understand, right? Because I think people say the most common thing that people say is that number one, it doesn't actually address the core issue, which is moves being too effective or doing too much damage, and definitely combos doing incredible amount of damage, right?
Yes.
People would rather you just nerf the combos, but of course, nerfing the combos is a lot of work. And they've mentioned in the patch actually that they'll be looking at that in the next patches.
Mm-hmm.
So I think combo changes will be the focus of a different patch. But for now, the combos are staying the same. So they haven't actually nerfed combo damage really. People say they don't like this change because this will nerf poking, right? And the reason why people say that is because the more health you have, that means the more number of pokes that it will take to kill your opponent, right? So the percentage of life that pokes takes away is less. So is poking nerf? In absolute, yes, sort of, yes. But my take on this is that combos are also nerf because it's the same for combos, right? It takes a bit more for combos to kill, but people say poking is nerf a bit more because, well, poking is now less damage, takes more pokes to kill, but a combo still do a gigantic amount of damage, right? That's what people say. So it doesn't matter because the combo is too much, but poking is nerf. I don't think the answer to this question is as simple as those statements. I can see why they say it like that, but I think combos is also nerf. I don't know to what degree, which one's nerf more, because it does depend on what poke, what damage value the poke has, 15, 20, whatever, and what does your combo damage do? You know what I mean? So I don't think the answer to this question is as straightforward as people think. But this change, it is a band-aid change. I prefer they actually address core problems. But I was actually half serious and half jokingly hoping they would increase the health number to 250.
Yeah,
I know you guys are going to hate me for saying that.
I would have liked
and the reason for that is because the more health means you might survive a big combo into Oki situation more, and you'll be able to fight off the heat repercussion a bit longer.
Yeah.
The heat is also nerf if health is increased. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the amount of health that heat can take away is less proportionately as well. So every damage output in the game is nerfed because health is increased. You know what health increase in health buffs? Increase in health buffs time.
Yep.
It buffs time. And in a short set, especially a tournament set, generally the only difference that makes a better player not able to stomp out a weaker player in a long set right out the gates is because they don't have the time yet to get what your habits are, what buttons you like to press. Like some people, you might be able to get a close game or even beat them in the first or two, but if you stretch that number, you might get stomped out of the park. And the reason why you don't get stomped out right out the gates is because they don't have the time yet.
Mhm.
So if they increase health value, you increase time. You buff time, you buff downloads.
Yep.
So a better player wins. So it's a band-aid solution that I'm willing to take. At least that's my perspective on it.
I think one thing I haven't seen mentioned much. I'm just gonna quickly read Star Phoenix's comment here because they've just said, "I wonder how much the more health nerf pokes ends up mattering. In my mind, you don't poke for the damage, you poke for the coverage. So who cares if the opponent has more health, sort of thing." Well, I would actually say that you do kind of poke for the damage, and I think in a higher health bar situation, combos are kind of getting double nerfed because they don't do pure damage. They do grey health as well. Um, so I do think that yes, both have gotten nerfed, but I also think that not only are pokes less nerfed, and this was the math I was trying to do the other day. It takes me about 16 Steve down forward ones to kill someone in the previous patch. Um, if you do uh, a health buff, which increases that number to 17 or 18, it's not a massive difference, but it's potentially introducing a new breakpoint for how many launches you can survive. So if I'm surviving 2 launches on average per round and 16 down forward ones, I'm personally generally rather going to take doing 18 down forward ones to kill, but surviving 3 combos um, over the inverse. I'd rather have that third breakpoint for launches because launches are so good and they're so prevalent in this game, especially with the Oki situations that you're having to deal with. Um, and all of that poke damage is also pure damage, which is good. The thing that Bams mentioned to me when I brought this up was Steve is still not going to be doing 100 damage with his combos. So it's going to be bad for old mate Steve. That might be true. That might be true. But we're not here to doom about Steve. We're here to move on to point number 2, which is gradual adjustments to overly high reward moves. This update addresses the overall inflation of attack strength and combo damage by implementing adjustments that can be done quickly to moves that provide excessive reward. We recognize this as a game-wide issue rather than a problem limited to specific characters, and we plan to continue reviewing and tuning these aspects progressively. Examples of adjustments included in this update: balance adjustments to high-performance moves that can repeatedly create advantageous situations and lead to one-sided gameplay, and adjustments to moves with disproportionately high reward compared to their risk, ensuring fairer risk-reward balance. And this was something that you briefly touched on earlier, Hangman, was um, like referring to the band-aid solution, sort of, that increasing maximum health is, and it's probably very easy for them to implement. Um, is this idea that the main issue is with the amount of these high risk, low reward options, or just high reward options in general, the volatility of the game. Um, I guess on this second point, what are your thoughts? You got any comment on that?
Yeah, a little bit. So of course, this one is hard to discuss at the top level because it's it is down to specific moves and how they operate. But the problem is quite simple, really, at a high level. The moves just do too much for you. The moves just do too much. They cover too many things. They're too rewarding on hit, on block, on counter hit. It just does too much. Um, so that's, I guess, what they mean by inflation of attack strength, because
Mm-hmm.
it's by design. They inflated it. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So obviously they know what they're talking about. They very clearly made those moves stronger.
yeah.
Um,
This was the thing that
yeah,
Speed Kicks crashed out on in regards to season 2. Was Paul. Paul's deep dive stance is a really cool stance, in my opinion. I think it's really fun to use. It's really
yeah.
interesting to fight.
Deep dive deep dive this the Steam reviews, eh?
A deep,
Sorry, go on.
you motherfucker. Um, they gave him a homing high natural hit launcher from Deep Dive. And part of the fun of fighting Deep Dive, because Deep Dive inherently, for anyone who hasn't fought Paul historically, was kind of a big deal. It's like, oh, we're giving this character who's very good defensively and sometimes struggles to get in, has to use pretty low reward small options. Um, we're now giving him an advancing stance that's got really decent to high reward options for relatively low risk. Like his deep dive low, -13, does a chunk. His deep dive mid, he's got a hit confirmable mid into a splat or knockdown. Really, really, really cool. It lets him speed around the screen like Lars. Um, they've now given it this homing high that launches on natural hit. And the point that speed kicks and FDX as well were making about this is they're trying to create these very binary situations where your answer is one or the other. It's like either you move or you block, and you have to do one of the two, and you have to be correct, because if you happen to be moving, you're going to get exploded. And if you happen to be blocking, well, hold this mix up, hold this chip damage, hold these plus frames, and it's frustrating. It's difficult to deal with, and you kind of get gaslit out of knowing what a good defensive option to make is, because the risk reward on everything seems so skewed. And if you're not getting launches yourself, you're probably going to get run over. So I think it's cool that they're addressing this so directly, at least in this paragraph. I don't know. It remains to be seen what's actually going to happen. But the third point they've got here is rebalancing the offensive and defensive aspects of the heat system. Currently, the benefits gained by the attacking player through the heat system are considered too great. The following adjustments have been made. We've revised damage scaling when using heat dash to suppress combo damage inflation, and we've adjusted frame advantage on hit for heat engages, maintaining benefits for the attacker while allowing the defender more opportunities to respond. Hangman, this one. What do you got on this?
Oh, give me a second. I was chugging some milk. Which line did you point to?
Chugging milk, dude. God damn it.
Which line? Sorry.
They've revised the damage scaling when using heat dash to suppress combo damage, and then they've also adjusted frame advantage for heat engages.
Yeah, actually, yeah. So let's count this as the text up. Let's spend a bit of time on this because this is a big change. So heat dash changes for those not aware. When you do a heat dash on they nerf a few aspects of the heat dash. So the first thing is that they nerf the combo scaling. So heat dash combos, when let's say you hit a combo that starts a heat dash on hit, it had a 70% scaling. Oh, sorry, was it 70% and it dropped it to 60?
Yeah, 70
or
to
80
60.
to 70?
I believe that's
yeah, 70 to 60. Yeah, so it's dropped by a further 10%, which it'll probably drop combo depending on what your combo damage is. If it's in the open, it'll probably drop your combo damage by about 5 to 7, give or take. If it's on the wall, it'll be a bigger value, which is decent. You know, some people do some really stupid shit to get one more combo damage in the game.
Yeah.
You know, for they do like the hardest version so that they can get like one more damage or whatever the fuck. So you know, nerfing 5 to 7 damage minimum is quite a big deal, right? This scaling will also apply if you, I believe, if you use your heat dash as part of a aerial combo that's already going on. I need to double check that, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. I think the scaling is also applied there further. This is their way of nerfing the heat dash combo damage, which, you know, I guess it helps. It's like one of those high value changes again, right? Not specific changes. But you know, I guess it's something. It's something to help with the heat dash combos, because some of these heat dash moves are so optimized. It you know, it's like mid that's like tracks both directions and like you know, you can't interrupt it. A lot of these heat dash moves are so optimized, and then their launches for whatever reason, right? And they're fast as well. So I guess it helps. The other change they made to heat dash, which is not written here, is it's written at the next paragraph there at the first line. Reduce additional chip damage during. Oh, sorry, not that one. Actually, I don't know where it's written. But they reduced the heat dash chip damage on block when you already have heat, and then you do your heat dash move from 7, right? From 7 to 2 or 5 to 2,
something like that.
So now it's already 2 damage. So essentially, what they're saying is that now if you block a heat dash, they're +5, but the chip damage is basically no longer present. It's only 2. It's only 2 chip damage. Might as well remove it, to be honest with you. So you know those situations where you're 1 health and then you block a heat dash and you get pushed through the wall, and then you're guessing one last mix up because your last bit of health got chipped to a very small amount, right? They want less of that. And they've actually continually nerfed this heat dash on block function. Previously, they nerfed the wall stun. Remember that? Remember in season 1, guys, when it came out, when they do a heat dash on block and then they hit and your back hit the wall, they're plus a gazillion. That's the first thing that went away. And then season 2 came out. They further nerfed the chip damage. Oh, sorry, they nerfed the chip damage for the first time, I believe. And now they nerfed the chip damage again to basically a non-existing amount. And this is probably the right direction, because these heat dash moves, they're fast or different depending on the character. They're fast. Their launches or like really big reward on hit, and your plus on block anyway. It does too much, right? So I really like this change because I felt like that's a little bit too much
Yeah.
before. So that's a good change.
Mhm.
And then heat engagers is probably the biggest change in this patch.
I'd agree.
And this is actually probably going to piss off some new to Tekken 8 players because this is all the hello checkmate. Thanks for the raid.
Checkmate. Thank you so much.
yeah.
Hope you're doing well. Anyone who's just joining in, we're just talking about the new patch. So
Yeah.
make yourselves comfortable,
Yeah.
Hangman.
So previously, when you get hit by new players are not going to be happy because how heat engages function at the moment is all that they've known about, right? So previously, heat engagers, if you get hit by a heat engaging move, they are now plus 17, and then it's checkmate for you. But now they've changed it from plus
You motherfucker. You motherfucker.
They changed it from plus 17 to plus 9, which is a big deal because now
Yeah.
you basically can low parry every low. And this is not true for every character, but you can now probably step or walk a lot of the running moves, but not all of them. For example, you still can't step Azucena running 3-2, and Chai, unfortunately, you still cannot step running 2 from Victor.
Unfortunately.
So not everybody. Of course, now you probably can power crush them and do your weird parries. Those things probably can work now. But this is a big deal. It's a big change. Plus 17 to plus 9 means at some point these guys will need to do mids that cover everything and stop their momentum.
Yeah.
Right? So I think this is a really good change. Okay, I'm gonna tell something that maybe I don't know. Hey, Yagami, are you in the chat? I wanna test if you actually know this is a mechanic. All right, this is a secret mechanic that's not written anywhere, and I don't see people talk about it very often. And Poultry, I don't know if I told you actually, Poultry.
Mhm.
So plus 9 is a very interesting number because it's interesting because it's equal to or greater than plus 8. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a mechanic in the game. Depending on the move that that has it, some moves has it, some moves doesn't. But some moves, if you're plus 8 or more, and then you do the move is now a homing move. Even though it doesn't have a homing property, even though the move feels like it's generally linear, even at plus 7. But as soon as it hits plus 8, the move becomes homing and you can't step it anymore. You guys are gonna think that I am out of my mind. You guys are gonna think I'm out of my mind, but this is an actual mechanic in the game. Roach, I don't know if you know that, but a move that Fang has that's an example of this is Fang down forward 3. Fang down forward 3. What Ni used to do, is I don't know if electric works like that, but an example that Ni used to do is that Ni used to do one jab and he would confirm one jab in Tekken 7. If it hits, he would do down forward 3. Why? Because down forward 3 is 17 frames and you're plus 8, right? So it's a frame trap, it's mid. But it also becomes homing at plus 8. And no, I'm not talking about a move that's like, oh yeah, at plus 2 it doesn't track, at plus 3 it tracks. No. I'm talking that the move becomes completely homing. And plus 7, there you go. That's what I mean. Okay, so down forward 3 with Fang, sorry, Poultry, we're talking about season 2, but I'll give you an even more extreme example, okay? I'll give you 2 extreme examples for the good boys in the chat that wants to lap, right? You guys know Kazuya's backswing blow, back 1+2? That's a really slow move, right? Relatively slow move, yeah? You guys try that out at plus 7 and you step it both directions, and then test it at plus 8 or more. The backswing blow becomes a homing move. I'll give you another one even better. You know King down back 2? That move is like, what, 28 frames?
Yeah.
I don't know, yeah. You do King, I don't know what's a plus 7 move now that they've buffed 1-2 into plus 8. But you do down back to at plus 7, you can step it so easily both directions.
Yeah.
But you do it at plus 8, you could still, because the move is so slow, you can see your character walk all the way to his side, and then the karate chop just fucking hits your head on the side. Anyway, I don't know if you guys know that this is a mechanic, but this is actually a mechanic. Sorry, I've been keeping it a secret from a lot of you. But yeah, so plus 9, essentially what I'm trying to say is that at plus 9, some of these slow mids that you might think in your head you should be able to step, they're still homing. You just need to figure out what those moves are.
That is cool. Okay. That's wild. And Roach was actually laughing this an hour ago. So there you go. That's crazy. Hangman dropping the knowledge.
Yeah, sorry, I never told anyone this, I think.
Well, this is going to be a mechanic that people are going to be wary of now. Like, it's going to be something people are going to start to incorporate.
I know I know the Koreans know about it and they're
Yeah.
not telling anyone. At
Yeah,
least
of
I know
course.
that.
Of course. Of course. Hangman, honorary Korean in the chat.
Yeah. And
well,
I say a bitch.
I've been playing in the background this new +9 situation. Hi, Buff Gigas, please, everyone's favorite Twitter account, showcasing that Heat Engager +9 means you're no longer forced to block most while running moves. You can parry or sidestep depending on the character, the situation, whatever. And I was playing earlier today. Before the stream, I played for about 45 minutes, and I felt this. You can absolutely step certain things. If your opponent wants to try... I was just stepping immediately just to test it. And if the opponent went for another running move, like Zafina right here, I fought a few Zafina players, you can absolutely get around shit, and it feels kind of like you're fighting Raven. If anyone here has ever fought a Raven player who likes to go for Raven's weird, fucking crazy, Ultra Plus, multi-front flip bullshit after they heat engage on you, you can actually sidewalk that move. Now you're going to be able to do that to way more moves. But not only that, you're also going to be able to power crush more things. You're going to be able to parry more things. Low parry is actually going to work. Here's something some people might not have considered. If you are more minus than the low that is coming towards you is fast, say for instance you are minus 14 in a guard state, and the low that's being used is minus 13 or minus 12, like a generic low, you can't low parry it. You have to block it. Which, for a generic low, not too bad, because they're like minus 15 in this game. But there are other lows that are quite fast, like a Jin down 4, for example, that you couldn't parry. Feng down 4. You couldn't parry that after he would heat engage on you. And so you block it, and all you get for it is your I-11 punish or I-12 punish. And if it's something like a Feng down 4, you might not even get that because he has an extension. So it empowers the mix even further, right? Now you don't have to worry about that as much. If your opponent's not using a character that's using like an elbow low or a weapon, you're still going to be able to parry. There's going to be lows that are slow enough that you'll be able to hop kick them, or orbital, or do some kind of low crush on them. Now, what we kind of wanted to lead to here, Star Phoenix already mentioned this topic earlier. Professional Tekken 8 player Edge, Hwarang Extraordinaire, has been having incredible success in Tekken 8 and is genuinely one of the most fun players to watch in the entire game. He is written here, plus 17 to plus 9. It was possible to turn the tide with 50-50, but now it's more difficult. It's so sad. Me and Hangman, prior to the stream, we did a little bit of conspiracy theorizing as to what he meant by this. Obviously, anytime you get a tweet about anything this big, it's never going to be enough to get the full picture of what someone believes or what they think, let alone if they're speaking in a language that's not their first. I was under the impression, and this might be copium, because some people might see this and be like, why the hell would a pro player want more 50-50? I was under the impression, and I do know he plays Hwarang. Gypsy, I see you. I do know he plays Hwarang. This is definitely a beneficial... plus 17 was very beneficial for a character like Hwarang. The way I was looking at it was... this is still a very volatile situation, and it's canned. It's very slow to happen. You get hit by the heat engager, there's a big blue slow-mo, you wait a little bit, then your character finally reaches the opponent, and then you run your mix-up. And in dire situations where you had held onto your heat, this was kind of your reward. Obviously, you could pop heat early and hope you could steamroll, but on the chance that you're playing deep enough and fast enough and you're able to keep up with your opponent, sometimes holding onto your heat really is your best recourse. And now it's going to be so much harder, potentially, to actually enforce your mix-up because your opponent's going to have low parry for fast lows, they're going to have sidestep for running moves, they're going to have power crush and parry for any kind of mix-up mid, and you're going to have to rely on your pokes in this situation a lot more, where previously you didn't really have to. I was looking at it as the situation's slow, it's canned, it's volatile, someone's probably getting blown up. You now have to rely on these pokes a lot more. in a game that's already so momentum focused and so momentum centric and so all about the casino and running things down, that if you happen to really like that, and if you gel well with it, if you enjoy the gamble aspect, if you enjoy the speed, and you enjoy the ability to put your opponent in a blender, makes sense. Because now it's gonna be you get your +9 and maybe you don't even want to press because you're like, wait, how many defensive options does my opponent actually have? Many of you in the chat who've ever fought against Yagami might know that doing a running move at +17 wasn't a good idea versus Yagami because he was just going to do Reina's parry and launch you. There's going to be a whole lot more of that now, which personally for me is a massive deal. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's better for the game, I think.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Like I guess like some people are entitled to not be happy about it, which is fair enough, right? And it's always been like this as well, right? Until this point, it is a new mechanic, and there are new Tekken 8 players. This is all the heat engages. It's as it has always been. They did say they're thinking about changing the plus frames on heat engagers in the previous notes as well. So this wasn't a surprise that it got changed. It was just a matter of what's the new value going to be, right? But I can't see this other than being a big win, and it's still incredibly plus as well. Some of these heat engaging moves are so accessible depending on the character. It's actually really, really cheap.
Yeah.
And immediately it turns everything around. If you hit a heat engager, it's almost unfair sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
You gain so much momentum, you gain your heat full bar, and you gain your life back sometimes. I personally think that this mechanic is like crazy, especially because the nature of it is like sometimes accidental. And I also do. This is the one thing I don't like about Heat, even when it was released. I like that Heat Dash. You can pick whether or not you want to do the Heat Dash or not on hit or on block. But Heat engages, you are mandatorily going into Heat all the time. So if you hit a Heat engager early in the match, you might be gimping yourself later.
Yeah.
And I hate the autonomy for Heat engagers is not there. So this helps me with those problems, even if some of them are not really directly related with the plus frames aspect.
This was something I didn't mention earlier when you mentioned that you would have liked to potentially even see 220 health because of time, right? I
said 250.
250. I really like the idea that heat in the right hands can be something that steamrolls around. But I prefer the idea that it is like a segment of a round. It's a thing that gets popped, everyone's excited while it's active, and maybe it gets popped towards the end of the round and it guarantees a kill. But maybe it gets popped early, and now you still have to play out 70% of your health bar without it, even if you're making generally well-informed good plays because your opponent's holding back, there's less chip damage. Maybe they made a good read on your heat engage. They knew you were going to do a while running move, and they challenged with a sidestep. When you've got more health, in tandem with this, heat slowly goes in the direction that I've always been hoping that it would go if they weren't willing to make it a resource you have to earn. Make it a resource that affects less of the match in general. And I think this is great. I think this is super huge. Chipsy is noted. It's gone from a guaranteed mid after the heat engager to now an extremely one-sided mind game. And that's, I think, what people want in Tekken is, yes, you can have fucked up situations, but it's always felt like historically, outside of eating a ballerina spin when you're in like the corner, or fighting Heihachi when you're in the corner, generally you have an answer, you've got an answer to stuff, right? Sometimes you got to act real fast. Sometimes you got to do a parry. Sometimes you got to risk it all. But it's very rare. It's the case that it's one size fits all solutions to problems. And this kind of leans more into the direction of, yes, if you want to keep your frame tight option, you can still do a down forward one. But at +9, a lot of your other options, you're going to have to be a little bit more considerate about. It's still favored towards you. Absolutely favored towards you. It's still a really strong situation, but now you're going to have way more recourse for it, which is great. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add to that.
No. I think those are the two biggest changes of the patch, excluding... Oh, sorry. No. That's two of the three biggest changes to the moves, right? So it's the health increase, the character-specific stuff. Not a lot of them, actually, but character-specific moves that are too good are a bit nerfed. We don't have to go through them, I guess. I guess we can talk about the
We'll
Jin
we'll
one that's
touch on them.
been
We'll
plagued.
touch on them.
Yeah, they've been plaguing Twitter. And then the third one is the heat smash, heat engager changes. You can kind of split them into two changes, really. And then the last big changes, the removal of, I don't know if it's all of them, but it's a lot of them. The wall crashes on
Wall
block stuff, right?
crushes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
This is a big one.
It's like this one caught me off guard. I didn't expect them to touch their baby like this. The wall crush. They love it. They love it when my back hits the fucking wall. Sorry. So I really didn't expect them to make these wholesale changes to a lot of the characters.
Mhm.
They are still very, very plus as well. Like what Yagami says, a lot of them are +9, but it does help. It does help a lot as well.
But when you would get wall staggered, like stuff like
You take chip
parries and
damage.
power
You
crushes,
you actually take chip damage when your back hits the wall.
you take
So if
chip,
nothing
but
else,
there were
yeah,
things
if
that were
nothing else,
just
yeah.
completely out of the question. Like you couldn't
Yeah.
even think to do like
Low
a power
parry
crush or a
stuff,
parry or a
anything,
low
yeah.
parry. Even if it is still +9 on something, you do have options against certain things. And people are going to greed at +9. That's part of the fun of fighting games is you get big plus, you do something greedy. I know Yagami has said it isn't actually that big, but I know that you're going to be the guy that's going to interrupt me out of all of my Mega Plus situations the most. So you need to shut up and stop being so good at the game. I'm going to quickly read what they've actually said about the wall stagger. In future Tekken 8 updates, the development team is committed to minimizing situations that lead to one-sided exchanges. Among these, moves that trigger a wall stagger or block were a particular concern. Such moves could easily create extreme advantage, so +10 frames or more, when used near a wall, forcing the defending player into powerful mix-up situations without any opportunity to respond. To reduce these kinds of one-sided scenarios, the team has reviewed all wall stagger on block moves across all characters. Any move that previously created an advantage of 10 frames or greater on block will no longer trigger a wall stagger when blocked. And one aspect of this worth mentioning, and yes, wall staggers are relatively niche in the grand scheme of characters having like 100 moves. They've completely gone to the drawing board on a mechanic. I don't want to give them too much credit. I'm not letting them off the hook, but this is good. This is a mechanic that you felt a lot in the Season 2 launch, but it's even a mechanic you'd feel a lot prior when the game released as well, of course. Heat engaging moves would do the wall stagger on block if you did like a heat dash after a move. Steve Sonic Fang, 14 frame full screen tracks both ways move would give you a wall stun if it was blocked. Now we got none of that. It feels like a much less meaningful but still meaningful variant on Tekken 7 slowly weeding out all the homing mid counter hit launches. Obviously, you still had exceptions like Noctis, cough cough, but this is good. And it does inspire some degree of hope, which I'm willing to take in abundance, so long as you're willing to keep pouring it out. Going through some of the moves and some of the changes, Anna got quite a few changes in this patch. I don't know Anna very well, but
yeah, all the new characters generally get changed a lot anyway.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
It doesn't surprise me.
This is a first patch for Anna. It's going to be big, but they've noted specifically for heat moves involving the 3 consecutive shots from Lovely Tom. So if you've ever stood with your back to a wall and eaten 3 rocket launcher blasts to your block and watched your health bar get shredded, the adjustment to on-hit and on-block behavior has been changed, and chip damage has been reduced. And her changes, it's just a whole lot of down arrows, a whole lot of chip adjustments, and some bug fixes. So that's pretty standard for Anna. Is there anything on Anna you wanted to touch on in particular?
No, you know why? Because I actually don't know anything about Anna. I haven't opened her in my practice mode at all.
You know, I ran a first to 10 versus Extrament, and I feel like I know even less about this character having done that.
I see.
That
Fair
was
enough.
that
Yeah.
was the fastest 10-0 in a while, and I'm known for getting 10-0.
One day I'll lab Anna, and then I wouldn't even know a difference because I have not looked at her yet.
That's real. That's real. We've got some changes to Brian. His I think this is his Snake Eyes low. The opponent's recovery time when blocking has been reduced by 1 frame from -12 to -13, and it's increased heat consumption. For those who don't know, he had a full screen low that was -12 that did a shitload of damage. It was like +7 on hit, probably still is, but it's now -13, which is cool. Let's go one at a time, I suppose. And no wall stagger triggered by Snake Eyes 4-forward 1+2 or 4-4-3 hold. Awesome. We take those. Claudio, while running 1+2, no wall stagger on block. Amazing. Clive got a couple of changes as well. During heat, 2+3, no wall stagger. So this is just the trend. They're just finding it and gutting it wherever it is. No wall stagger is safe. If anyone can think of a wall stagger that still exists, please let me know so that I can say mean things about Michael Murray again.
Somebody found Jack's hold for 3+4 is still in the game on block.
Is that good? Is that a good move?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think it's pretty decent.
All right. Maybe they'll keep it for like specific niche situations. But
a lot of the blunts that are on blocks are sorry. I think they're removing specifically the ones that are on block. The ones that are on hit,
does it.
Yeah, the ones that are on hit, I think survives.
Yeah, I don't mind that as much. I think that's okay. Given they're just reducing it on the whole. And speaking of Jack, in version 2.0, Jack 8 received behavior fixes as well as a rebalancing of the new Season 2 move, Make Some Noise. Make Some Noise could be performed as a follow-up from Jack 8's close-range core move 2-1, allowing him to easily create a highly advantageous situation simply by forcing the opponent to block. This made it difficult to counter, enabling Jack 8 to apply strong offensive pressure with minimal risk. Additionally, the move proved excessively powerful in terms of both combo damage and chip damage, prompting a need for rebalancing. Taking these factors into account, a preemptive adjustment has been implemented for Jack 8. What I find interesting about this is they don't call it a bug. I feel like, I could be wrong, maybe it's Mandela effect. When they mentioned the emergency patch, they implied that this was an unintended thing. Same with Paul's. They listed it alongside Paul's unblockable, which is clearly a bug. I don't know if this is them taking accountability for this actually being just some fucking idiot decision in the dev room. Or if they're just apologizing because they have to at this point. But
you know when the move came out, I looked at it. I didn't even think it was a bug. I just thought it was like a super overtuned move because of the patch. You know what I mean?
I thought it was ridiculous, and I thought it was like meathead decision. I thought it was getting a monkey to throw dice at a fucking board and just picking random stats, just going like, okay, Jack 2-1. Okay, goes into Gamma Howl. Okay, plus. Okay, tracking. Okay, chip. Like, dude.
You know those single player deck building games and like you can buff a card with like random properties and values. It feels like that, doesn't it?
Dude, Slay the Spire. It feels like you're cycling your deck. Like you're just cycling your fucking deck. You're playing the silent.
It does feel that way, doesn't it? It's like every 50 patch
cards
I open,
in a row.
Yeah, it's like a roguelike patch notes. That's what I feel like I'm getting.
Dude, Tekken roguelike. That's gonna be the next what was the Tekken game they made in between the mainline Tekkens that introduced Eliza?
Tekken Revolution.
Tekken Revolution. That's gonna be like the next off-brand Aldi Tekken that Namco decides to put out. It's gonna be a Tekken roguelike. And it's gonna be like your move has like a tracking range where it can track from no tracking all the way to tracking to the right, and Godspeed you. So yeah, Jack got some changes that were well needed, and then we've got the final page here. Jin, in version 2.00.02, Unveil received a rebalancing of the Zanshin stance, which was previously enhanced in Season 2. As a result of the adjustments in version 2, during Zanshin 2 and during Zanshin 4 became major contributors to excessive combo damage. Additionally, the newly introduced while running 3 forward transition into Zanshin in Season 2 granted Jin exceptionally strong offensive continuity near the wall, enabling him to force one-sided pressure on opponents without reprieve. Their wording is great, man. Why you mention me? Unveil. It wasn't your fault, but I don't forgive you. Taking these points into consideration, adjustments to Jin's performance have been implemented ahead of future updates in line with the overall balancing direction. Yeah, the specifics I don't think require too much looking into. Anyone who watched Jin or fought Jin or played Jin would know that he was a plus frames dispenser, and there was never a good option. He was always plus enough that all of his scary fast shit would hit you out of your power crushes, and so you would block, and so he'd do more plus into more chip, into more plus, into more chip, and you got montages on Twitter from Knee. Playing the game like I've never seen Knee play the game before, just because it's optimal. and that's just how Jin
Yeah.
was looking in the last patch.
Yeah, like it pretty much like you said, right?
Mm.
When they unveiled the patch notes for Jin, you don't really know if this is gonna affect Jin at all in terms of power level and like tier ratings, and of course the performance, the effects of the performance of Jin for tournament players is unknown. So that's pretty much uncut.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Keep going.
Sorry, I was getting pissed in the chat because Yagami said, "Wow, just found out Reina Hellsweep is homing at +8."
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, dude, it is what it is. Jun, in version 2.00.02, Jun received a rebalancing of her Izumo stance-related moves that were previously strengthened in season 2. Before season 2,
the first point,
yeah.
the first point sent me to the Shadow Realms. They're like, startup of the low attack, the Izumo Hell Sweep was fed up in version 2. So now it's impossible to block on reaction and difficult to evade even with sidesteps. Oops. The notes read it like, oops, sorry, we didn't know it was gonna do that.
Oh, dude. It was a Tekken 7 Kazuya homing Hell Sweep moment. Straight up. Just this is a problem. I don't want to get too much into it because this patch largely is good.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of these, yeah. Yeah.
There are so many situations that the devs make for the Tekken games that don't feel at all informed by pro play, one, which is fine because you don't want to balance in accordance to the pros. You want to make a good game, you need to balance according to everyone. But two, intermediates. And three, just general vocal consensus. There's so much stuff that was getting changed that seemingly nobody asked for. And I think the big thing people really realized with Season 2 is it made the game hell for new players. I've spoken to a bunch of newer players about Season 2, just trying to get a vibe, because the devs want to make it flashy, they want to make it look cool. But Tekken stands on a reputation of difficulty, complexity, complex move lists, feeling like you are a martial arts practitioner. The kind of audiences you're attracting by default, just based on the vibe of Tekken, is not an audience that wants to one-sided stomp every single round doing full screen lasers. And that's not to say that they can't make the game flashy and make it more visually accessible, whatever that means, to wider audiences in a way that requires less onboarding time. But if you want to get more newer players into the game, your game looks amazing already. Tekken 8, it's too flashy. I'll agree. It's borderline epileptic. Make onboarding easier. Buff the tutorial content that we've got, or have more ways in game to see stuff to do with the community, like upcoming tournaments. Is there anything I can watch that's coming up? Add offline casual modes. But one thing I was really hoping for, ever since T7, that T8 would have, because when I got into T7 for the first year I played the game, I didn't really play against anyone because I didn't have internet. I just liked watching competitive Tekken. So I would just boot up Treasure Battle, and I would just grind against the fucking Treasure Battle AI doing combos and shit. Before I even played on ranked or anything like that. I wish we had turbo mode as just a fuck around mode. I wish we had double damage as a fuck around mode. These are things that I don't think would be too difficult to implement, because when I think about it as a non-programmer, as a layman, so feel free to ridicule me in the chat, Turbo Battle probably required just adjusting the gravity and the speed of the round. That's all that was required. The gravity and speed of the physics. Double damage. Literally just adjust either the amount of damage a move does, holistically, or the amount of health you have holistically. And that's it. I think they did damage because you get hit sparks on everything, right? Why don't we have stuff like that? I feel like that's a much cheaper way for them to get more new players into the game. They see, oh shit, there's actually a bunch of other modes where I don't have to worry about getting my ass stomped by a smurf because I'm playing quick play and Hangman's in the lobby. Cool. Let me fuck around on double damage with my friend. And then that will bring him up to my speed, because we're both bad. He's more bad than me in a way that I usually kick his ass. But hey, when it's double damage and he's playing King and he throws me once and I can't break it, evens the odds. I went on such a big rant just because of Jun. So hopefully that doesn't say much about me. But going back to Jun, unless Hangman, did you have anything on that you wanted to say?
No, no, I'm good. I'm good. I think that's and pretty much the new plus frame low that she has. It's gone from +6 to +4 now. The homing move from the stance.
Yes.
It's still impressively plus. It's still quite oppressive, but now you can step a few options. So it does change a lot. It's still plus, but the reduction of 2 frames actually changed the situation quite a lot. But they're still insistent that it's a plus frame homing move that she did not have previously.
Yeah. And they've actually listed the key factors contributing to a stance's excessive strength, and the plus frames was a crazy example of that. 1. Startup of the low attack during Izumo 4-1 was sped up in version 2, making it nearly impossible to block on reaction and difficult to evade even with sidesteps, resulting in an overwhelmingly strong move. 2. The mid attack during Izumo 3 already had moderate tracking against sidesteps with only a few options. Jun could consistently beat defensive choices with minimal risk. 3. New season 2 move Yakumodachi, or during Mia Ray, I don't know how to pronounce that, 1+2, was highly powerful, enabling Jun to force her Izumo offense onto opponents with little counterplay. I do like the wording here. I don't know if they've hired a new guy or something, and I don't know if this is like a manipulation tactic, and they've been using ChatGPT to study what's going to make me happy. But due to these factors, Jun was able to repeatedly pressure opponents from Izumo's stance in ways that left little room for effective counterplay. In light of the overall game balance direction, we have implemented early adjustments to tone down her performance. With these changes, our aim is to preserve the core offensive strength of Izumo while making it more manageable for opponents to respond, ultimately promoting deeper and more balanced mind games. I feel like this is a YouTube targeted ad, dude. This is fucked up. This is fucked up. I feel like I've hopped on Facebook after having a deeply personal conversation, and I'm now being advertised vibrators from Temu.
Amazing.
We've got Kazuya, No More Wall Stagger.
Yeah.
King, this is your guy.
I'll walk through this one.
Mhm.
So King 322 strength was really optimized last patch. It hit grounded. Now it no longer hits grounded. The tracking ability of the 30 is reduced. I'm not sure exactly what that changes yet. We'll see what it is actually in the game. But I assume there was some situation that made it hard to step, I guess. This is the big one. The second hit no longer connects as a natural combo after the first hit lands. So even if you get hit by the first part of the string, the second hit you can still block it.
Yep.
And that's a big deal because before you get clipped by the first hit, they do the second hit that's safe anyway, and then they do the charge move now after they confirm that it's hit, right? So that was really cheap. And this move should not be really usable in the neutral like that anyway. And it's still sort of usable in the neutral, but I think the effectiveness has been reduced. It probably can be reduced a little bit more. And the damage is still amazing at the wall as a combo tool. So they nerfed this a little bit. And you see this pattern all throughout the patch. You saw it with Jun just now. You saw it. The example here is with King as well, where they added a new move or a new property to a move, and then they're like, "Oops, sorry, we put too much sugar on your cake. We didn't know it was gonna make it really sweet, so now we're gonna like skim off the sugar a little bit. The cake is still really fucking sweet. It's still overly sweet, but they took it off a little bit, and this is the pattern that you'll see throughout this whole patch, and you'll see it with Lars as well. We probably the other ones doesn't really matter, but Lars, I think Lars is after King, right? KL. I'm not sure. Yeah, Akuma first, yeah, but it doesn't matter. So Lars, right? So this is the craziest line. Limited entry 1 was reverted straight back to 4 frames. They buffed it to 26, and then they immediately, 2 weeks later, they're like, "Nah, that was fucked up. Eh? We shouldn't have done that. Eh? That was the April Fool's joke."
This line has been making rounds on NRS Twitter, dude. Dude.
Yeah.
It's funny.
This is essentially the changes, which is they made something that took it back a little bit. And if you go through the whole changes for a lot of the characters, essentially it's these sort of patterns. I don't know if there's a particular character you're interested in to read about the changes. What are the big changes that is?
Not in particular, no. I think those are the main ones, really. I'm just going to scroll through. Is there anything else that was big? Obviously, Paul's unblockable bug has been fixed. I think that genuinely
that's a
was
big deal.
Bug. It's the kind of bug that should be caught if your devs are playing the game realistically at like a semi-decent level. because I feel like you look at something like that and your first instinct as a pole player or even just someone who's moderately good at the game is to be like, oh, how plus can I be? And they somehow missed that, but it's fine. It's been resolved. Um, just quickly skimming through, I don't think there's much else that I wanted to look
Yeah,
at.
we've covered all the important stuff. These are the ones that are not. I guess we should be happy about this one. Ling Hypnotis 2,
Yes.
after you block the heat smash,
Yes.
no longer wall stuns in the back. I don't know how plus it is now,
Mhm.
but at least it doesn't wall stun like it used to anymore. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah. I think on the whole, this patch is nothing but positive. So on the whole, it's a good patch. It is early days. So this is the conspiracy theory I mentioned at the very start of the podcast that I've got. This is going to take a lot of effort from Namco, and they haven't got a proven track record. So it's copium. This is 100% copium. I am huffing that paint. If they do have a pretty frequent update schedule, I think they can not only win back a lot of the goodwill from the community, but they'll also bring in more players than they ever have potentially. Because one thing that an update always does is it generates noise for better or worse. It generates noise, and it seems like they're really actually trying to pivot to being held accountable. This patch is, as Hangman mentioned, it's actually a lot. Like I agree, it's a lot more than I expected them to do. I was expecting we were going to get radio silence, and then they were going to drop the fixes, and then Evo Japan was just going to be a mess, and it still probably will be a mess. But I didn't expect them to make this many changes. To the point that earlier we were talking about how we've got this tournament coming up tomorrow in Abu Dhabi, Nations Cup. Everyone in attendance is basically going to be playing on a completely different version of the game. And obviously, we moved to a completely different version of the game going into Season 2. But all of the clips you saw Knee and Lohai and whoever else posting on Twitter of just completely insane bullshit, a lot of that's gone. Not all of it, but a lot of the most glaring stuff is gone. And that's not to say these players are bad enough that they're not going to have the muscle memory to adjust. More so, they're not going to be as familiar with these situations. It's literally next day, new patch in tournament, potentially. I don't know what the policy is for
Bro, I
Nations
don't
Cup.
even know if they've seen the patch, man. They're in the fucking sky, dude.
Oh, I'm wondering if they're going to run the new patch or if this is going to be on Super
Nah, they have to
Crazy
run it on the new
Goku
patch.
Season 2.
They run it on the new patch. They run it on.
I think they
the
have.
Koreans have
I think
landed.
they should.
The Koreans have landed. They haven't seen the patch notes yet. They spent the last 48 hours on the plane.
This tournament's tomorrow unveil. I'm hoping they run it on the new patch, but there is every chance because tournaments are a logistical nightmare. They're gonna have to go and update everything, and that might not sound like much. I don't imagine they'd have many setups because it's an invitational. But there's every chance with tournaments. Sometimes they'll stick to a previous patch. We've got BAM coming up. It's obviously going to be on a new patch now. Evo Japan going to be on a new patch. Are we going to get another patch before any of these tournaments start? When did they mention the next one?
Yes. So I believe the next set of patches will happen mid-May.
Yes.
Which translate to probably after Evo Japan or after Combo Breaker.
Mhm.
I'm quite sure by the time BAM happens, we will be on the version 3 or whatever they're gonna call it.
But yeah, this is curious.
Here you go.
What were you gonna say?
Yep. So I want to round off my last thoughts on the patch.
Mhm.
So everything on the patch is generally positive changes, positive direction. But this is how I think about season 2.1 right now. I said this at the start of the podcast earlier. Tekken 8 season 1 at the end was a slightly annoying game for me, but I was willing to still try and play and get better at the game, right? And then season 2 dropped and it completely ruined the experience for me. And then this patch happened, and now my experience is still ruined. But some of the mess has been cleaned, right? I want to expand what I mean. This is what I mean. Some of the problems that were in season 1 has continually still is still a problem. They fix sort of heat engagers and the I guess some of the wall crushes. So those are things from season 1 that got fixed now. But some of the things that I wanted to be changed in season 1 is still a problem. Heat Smash is doing too much.
Yeah.
No counterplay. Some of the heat bursts that are tracking, those are still in the game. Some very too easily accessible mix-ups from season 1. They're all still in the game. And then the things that they did in season 2, a lot of them are still in the game as well, even though they made some of those changes. Those the king string change, the Jun changes, the jack changes. These are reducing the power level of some moves that were added to cover some weaknesses of the characters anyway. So you're still going to feel the effects of those moves being added, and makes playing a lot more streamlined or a lot less fun.
Mm-hmm.
The Huarang high crushing homing counter hit low is still in the game.
Yeah.
They're not going to take away all your Lionheart transitions. They are still in the game.
Yeah.
They're not going to take these away.
Nope.
A lot of the moves that are now plus frame goes into stuns. Jin, Paul, Nina, going QCFs, pigeon rolling on the fucking. It's like when I was a kid and throwing tantrum. They're all still in the game. There's all still in the game, and that is still the game. The game is still a lot of 50-50s right now. They're not taking any of those away, and I doubt they will. The best that they can do is like make some value changes, less blast, less move, stops doing this, less damage. But all those things are still in the game, and it's going to be a compounding problem ongoing. Of course, in these changes, wall combo, wall damage, wall carry, still a problem. They're still in the game. The combos have not been touched. They've alluded that they will change it in the future. But as of right now, they're still in the game.
Yeah.
And all of the heat moves that are like, a lot of the heat moves that are like extremely spammable. Claudio, Brian, Paul's Dead Fist that now is, that takes less heat, right? It takes less heat.
Roach just
meter.
Roach just mentioned the bomb.
Yeah, the Fang fish hook is still in the game. All of these things are still in the game. So they've made a lot more changes than what I thought they could in 2 weeks. Bravo, actually. It's really good changes. They apologize. They're promising that they're going to continue to change the game. But it's a long way to go. It's a long way to go to take us from Egypt to Canaan, for those that get the reference. Okay, it's a long way to get there.
Yeah.
So for now it's just a matter of how often are we getting these patches? What is the magnitude and the scale of these changes every time we get a patch note, and the direction of those patch notes? I'm willing to sacrifice this year's TWT competitor experience if we can get one balance patch every month. Yep. If every time Nee travels and lands in a new country, he has to play a new version of the game, I'm ready for Nee to have a bad fucking time.
I'm ready
so
to
that
sacrifice
at the end of the
Nee's
year,
paycheck.
so at the end of the year, we can have a good fucking game.
Yeah. I want them to build up goodwill. Like, even if the game's not in a good state. I am psychopathic enough that I'll continue playing. For all of you who respect yourselves and your time and your loved ones, thank you for making the pilgrimage to sniffing grass instead of sniffing ass. If they can do reliable patches every month or so, and lay things out like they have here, and do polls on Twitter, and spark community interest, and spark better discussion. Because part of the issue, right? I kind of bagged on Murray pretty hard in the last episode, Nakatsu as well. Part of the issue is this self-fulfilling prophecy of doing shit things and then receiving shit on Twitter, and that just flowing into itself. Like, oh, we did a bad patch. Well, seemingly out of a sense of vindication, or vindictive spirit, rather. Here, have another bad patch. Have another bad change. Have another thing that seems out of place. And I'm going to complain to you about it on Twitter again, and it's just going to continue. We've had an apology from all of the major devs individually. We've had apologies all throughout the patch notes. We've had this spirit of renege all throughout. Like, this was a bad decision. This was a bad play. We shouldn't have done that. Too offensive. Too aggressive. they are in the perfect spot to earn back goodwill. And yes, you're 100% correct. With Tekken 8, it's going to be a game of mix. It's going to be a game of aggression. That's not going anywhere. And that's not going to be for everyone. Many players hopped off of the bandwagon just because of that early on. My beloved Alchemist, who I'm always going to invoke at any given chance, doesn't play this game that much online or outside of offlines or whatever because it's not his thing. And it makes sense. It's fine. But they've got the perfect opportunity to white knight for themselves, to raise themselves up from a pit of their own making. It could be their No Man's Sky moment, Middenay, absolutely. And I still love Tekken too much. There's nothing else like it. This has me somewhat hopeful. I'm going to be critical. I know you're going to be critical. Chip is definitely going to be critical. But there's
call me penguins because that's how critical I am. Man.
Oh, dude, there's every chance that they can make this right and they can make it into a good game. And as you said, like season 1 was annoying, but beneath all of the bullshit, there is still Tekken in there to be found, Tekken to be mined, and that's what we're looking for. And it seems like the devs are looking for it too now. Finally, I think they're a little bit ashamed of all the Tag 2 and T6 clips. And I have installed Tekken 6 for those who are asking. It is coming. We'll have some Tekken 6 streams, but yeah, I don't know. That's the patch. Is there anything that you wanted to touch on in particular?
Yeah, I got two last things. The first thing is Chipsy before the stream asked me to pass down a message. So in Tekken 7 we had a patch where Kazuya's hell sweep becomes a homing move. Actually, it wasn't just Kazuya's homing hell sweep that got changed. It was Heihachi's as well, and the electric changes as well, I believe. Was it electric? I don't remember. Sorry, no. In the same patch, they made electric recover faster, right? So the homing hell sweep that Kazuya got was shit on by almost everybody, right?
Yes.
And we had the little debacle by Murray. Imagine that's season 2, right? And then, not long after, they reverted back Kazuya's hell sweep to how it is previously.
Yep.
That felt like what this patch is.
Yeah.
But the electric recovery was still unchanged. It was still faster. And then Heihachi got to run away with his homing hell sweep, which he still kept to this very day.
Yep.
You know? So I'm not complacent.
Yeah.
Because I will remember all the changes you make, right? But I am hopeful that it will be good, and we'll have a good game by the end of the year, a year from now. I don't know. Yeah.
The devs have been known to be sneaky. Leroy released with a patch that had been data mined or whatever. Like it was found out that the patch for Leroy existed before he got released. They knew they were releasing a shitstorm. I don't think they knew exactly how much of a shitstorm they were releasing because they tanked the reputation of the only Tekken character to be cosplayed by T-Pain in the history of the franchise. They completely shot his reputation through the floor. And even now, as a character that's still got a lot of good things going for him, a lot of incredible animations, a lot of style, a lot of unique ways to approach him, he's not popular. And I don't think he ever will be, just because of that Tekken 7 reputation.
And the last thing I want to... can you share your screen for the viewers? I just want to give you a video for the viewers to see.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Just before we end the stream, yeah. So here's the link. I know it looks weird, but trust me, it has a purpose.
Give me 1 second. Just keep nattering for a sec while I reset this.
Yeah. So this one's a for I think for the people pointing this out early in the stream. So I kind of remember that. So I wanted to do this when you guys saw it, but I didn't have a opportunity to show you guys this until now. So yeah. So close this one. So this is called Selamat Ulang Tahun. It's a song in Indonesian. Okay. So click on it very quickly. So this song is a happy birthday song in Indonesian. Happy birthday, Poultry.
You motherfucker! Why would you do that on my stream, you dickhead? God damn it.
Happy birthday, Poultry. Happy birthday, Ramon.
Thanks, brother.
when I first met you at a local event many years ago, I was a bit wary about you because you had a tattoo on your arm, and my Christian father taught me people with tattoos are not to be trusted with. But over the years, you've become one of my best friends, not just in the scene, but in general. So
Hey, I
happy
love you,
birthday,
dude.
It's been a while, right? And you still need to give me back my wingman.
I do need to give you back the wingman. That's true. Before I fucking lose it. Oh, god damn it. I love you too, dude. It's been a fucking pleasure, bro. You're definitely beloved in the scene, beloved by me. And I think I've earned being sentimental because we hit 400 followers, and I hate all of you motherfuckers, but I love you all too. You're all fantastic. And now I'm gonna have this fucking Indonesian birthday song playing in my fucking dreams tonight. Oh, this is rough, dude. This is rough.
Hey Blackheart, thank you for coming. I hope you're well, man.
Much
I
love,
see your
Blackheart.
Twitter. I see your Twitter posts sometimes. They're pretty good.
His YouTube posts are fantastic. If anyone in the chat's not following Blackheart, go give him a follow because he's cracked out and he is, he's kind of like like he's like a Miami cop for Tekken. Him and fucking I forget the UK player's name. They've been like trying to unveil all of the seedy underground of the Tekken modding scene and all of the hacks that are going on. But lads, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a good one. We are going to have an episode next week. We should have a special guest who has not been announced yet because I haven't contacted them yet. But worry not, we'll get it set up. We'll see you guys in the next one. And Salamat Malam. Is that good evening? Did I get it right?
One. That's pretty good. Yeah, you are actually right. Yes.
Fucking
Well done.
banger. You know the other Indonesian word I know?
Yeah, go.
Lapangan. Football oval.
Yeah, lapangan. Yeah,
fucking
field.
go.
A field.
Field.
Yeah.
Field. Close enough. I am goring. I liked that one because me and my mates in class, we would do the Dragon Ball Z fucking finger sideways pose. What's that called? I'm uncultured. Where like two Dragon Ball Z characters hold up their pointer fingers and they stand next to each other and they
The fusion. The fusion. dance.
the fusion. And we would
Yeah.
say I am goring like we're Goku or some bullshit.
Yeah, that's gotta be racist to somebody.
Surely. It wasn't to my Indonesian teacher. She was amazing. But love you all. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Congratulations to all of you for hitting 400 followers. I didn't do that. You guys did that voluntarily because you're all fucked in the head. And we'll see you in the next one. Hangman, peace
You
out.
boys, take care. Have a good night, everybody.